Yo, what is going on, NFT Bros Podcast listeners? My name is Adam Andrews, and I am your host as always. And on today's episode, we have a special guest. The founder of NFT Nerds is here with us. Serenity, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Why don't you give the audience just a brief description of who you are, how you got into crypto, and what you're currently doing?
Sure. So actually, I've got I started doing crypto pretty late, I would say. So it was already past the NFT boom, or maybe at the top. And me and Rigby, the other co-founder of NFT Nerds, were really looking to build something cool. Yeah, and we noticed some things that we believed we could do better as a product in the NFT space, and just started grinding.
Nice, I love it. So you got in. Like when did you specifically kind of get into crypto?
So I think it was probably like September 2021.
Okay,
we just started
exploring. Cool. Same time as me. Same time as me.
Well,
yeah.
Nice.
I
remember Mecca. Do you remember Mecca Mint? I think like this was around the Mechaverse.
Yeah, Mechaverse. Yeah, that was my first giant play in NFTs. I minted. I started my NFT trading journey with $2,500. I took the advice of Gary Vee and like a bunch of these other crypto YouTubers who were like, yo, before you get in here, don't risk what you're not willing to completely lose. And I was like, all right, I'm cool with losing $2,500. So I put in $2,500. I was down to my last $260 in my ETH wallet. I had a couple NFTs that were worth some stuff, but I was holding on to those and I was down to my last $250, $260, and I was waiting. I remember I was on my cousin's couch and I was waiting, and I was on the mint page for like an hour, and then it finally turned on. It was like, boom, you whatever the pop-up was like, yeah, you can mint now. And I was like, yo, no way. And I minted, and it was like $248 of the $250 or $260 that was in my account. So it was all in. Like this was it. This is my last NFT trade like that I could make with that $2,500 initial, unless I sold the other NFTs. And I ended up selling it like 2 days later for like $30,000. So that was an insane play. Mechaverse. So that's around when you got in as well?
Yeah, so that's probably like also the first mint that we were following. We didn't manage to mint, unfortunately. Or maybe fortunately, because we had to look for other stuff to do. But I remember that. I miss those days, definitely.
I definitely miss the crazy bull market and the instantaneous mint outs. But also I kind of like to see where the market's kind of like evolving to. And where we're going. And I think it's a good reset for the market. It'll get a bunch of people who were never going to actually, build things for the long term out, right? You see a bunch of the projects that were like soft rugs or purposeful long-term rugs leaving the market now, and it sucks. Like, people are losing money from these things happening, and it does suck. I have a bunch of those plays in my hidden folder. It's a part of the game, but I think it's healthy for the market overall. I think when the next bull does come back, we will have a very educated and knowledgeable NFT like trader community as a whole in Web3, and we'll, I think, overall be able to identify the bullshit a lot, like more so than we did in the past.
Yeah, I mean, my hope is always that, vast majority of people that did enter and do enter, like, mint stuff and buy in, they like really know what they're doing, and they kind of, don't expect that, it won't track. Let me put it that way. So it kind of, you enjoy the game, you know that this is probable outcome, and yeah. On the other hand,
go ahead.
Utilities, it's great when projects can provide that. For us, it was always hard to balance, I guess, and we just, we loved building products. It's also like what the two of us have been doing before. So we kind of didn't have that energy to maybe capitalize on the ability to mint a collection and try to do business that way. So I think we focused on utility maybe too much, so we missed out a bit.
You were building for the long term though, which I think is admirable for sure. Like, there are definitely some things that we could have done more short term vision wise last year within the company to make more money and capture more market share, but it just kind of like really didn't align with our vision for the future. We want to do everything with a 5-year plan in mind, right? And so there were some short-term things that we didn't do that could have been beneficial for us as a company, but overall wouldn't have been very beneficial for the market. So we just didn't do it. And like, people don't know that. But I think that is a good way to operate a company. And I kind of wanted to dive into what you guys are doing with NFT Nerds. Can you give the listeners just like an overall elevator pitch of what NFT Nerds is so that they know what we're talking about when we dive in and I ask you some more intrinsically like detailed questions about NFT Nerds?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're an NFT aggregator that's focusing on data quality, speed, and analytics. So yeah, and we grew organically. We were adding features and building product the way that like it was really shaped by users and the feedback we got. So I think at some point we as founders kind of stopped being really knowledgeable about how to trade, but we got such a great feedback from users and such a strong community that we were able to keep building stuff that's useful and provide value.
Awesome. So for those of you who are listening that don't know what like an NFT aggregator is or what he just explained, I'll kind of give you the 5-year-old explanation for what NFT Nerds is. NFT Nerds is, and correct me if I'm wrong here, NFT Nerds is a trading dashboard that aggregates a bunch of NFT information from the blockchain and puts it in front of you in an easy to understand manner so that you can trade and mint NFTs in a manner that allows you to improve your trading and improve your overall profitability. Would I be wrong?
Yeah, no, that's better
Cool.
probably than what
Sweet.
I said. So
yeah, no. What you said is awesome. I'm not going to say dumb it down for our listeners, but we try and just bring it down to a very, very simplistic way of explaining everything.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely. I'm a technical person, so I kind of drift towards.
I totally picked up on that. Yeah, which is cool. And I want to ask you about some more of the technical stuffs, like within NFT Nerds, and what features you guys are currently working on. If you want to divulge any of that, or if you can expand on any of that, and then also kind of touch on how you guys got started. What is your background and how did NFT Nerds come about?
Okay, sure. So we're really obsessed on user experience, and even though maybe we're not especially talented, I mean, neither me nor Rigby, like we don't really know how to do UX design that well. We really want to have good experience ourselves and really want to give good user experience, good experience to our users. So currently we're making, we haven't announced it yet, I guess, but we're trying to do a redesign of our main dashboard and make it much more customizable to really, so I think like most of our users are really power users and they spend a lot of time on the platform. So you want to give them much more customizable tools so they can trade more efficiently. So this is most of the features that we'll be releasing sooner around that, and having really good experience around the data and analytics that's already there on the platform.
Awesome. So really focusing on UX, and I love that because I use NFT Nerds myself. I love the UX. There are a bunch of different NFT aggregators and trading tools out there, and I have only really found like one or two that have a nice enough layout for me as a user to like understand everything that's going on in a like quick manner, and also have the functionality of the back end working, in conjunction with the front end. And, I think NFT Nerds does an amazing job at that. So I did want to say, you guys are doing amazing. How did NFT Nerds start? Did you guys raise funding from VCs or how did NFT Nerds start?
Yeah, so Rigby and I, we knew each other from probably high school times. We did math Olympiads together. So yeah, we were tiny bit math geeks. And then, we just had good chemistry. So we prepared together. We solved problems together. And then our paths split for a bit after university. So I did, I worked at Jump Trading for over 3 years. And we did some other stuff. And then I always wanted to build a company, build a product. And before NFT Nerds, we tried one thing with Rigby. It didn't really work out. And then we started looking into NFTs and found a niche with having good analytics and good dashboard on NFT data. And we just started building it. So I think the first feature was around rarity, and we felt that rarity is something that's becoming really important. We didn't find anything that could tell you what the relationship between rarity and price within a collection. And we just built a tool that would help visualize that, and then just try to get feedback from users. So that's
very cool.
Yeah.
Dude, very cool. Very grassroots. So did you guys, I know you have a Genesis pass that is an NFT that will get you, it's a lifetime access pass, correct?
Correct. Yep. Correct.
Yeah. So was that what you used to kind of fund NFT Nerds into existence in the first place?
So it was just the two of us. We had enough money saved to bootstrap. To have the infrastructure set up. Like, we tried to monetize very quickly, but the reason was that we believe that this is the ultimate test if you're building something useful. And okay, like you said, we're gonna try to monetize, have subscription or anything just to see if it's useful enough, so it's worth building. And then we were actually asked by a lot of people to mint, to do something that would give lifetime access, and this is why we decided to mint. It was very small mint, 100, so it's minuscule, but it wasn't like a requirement for us to get going. We kind of tried to monetize early and really be profitable early as a strong validation that this is useful and worth our time working on.
Nice. I love it. Yeah, we did something very similar with Just Cubes. I'm not sure how familiar you are with what we've done, but what we did to essentially have proof of concept, which is similarly how you built. You built it, and then whenever people were hungry enough for this pass, you created it, and you're like, okay, we have something here. We were able to do this. Like, let's see what else we can do. We did something very similar with Just Cubes, which is something that nobody had done in the market yet, which was during our whitelist phase of giving away whitelist, we paired our whitelist access list with node access prior to mint. So essentially, the whitelist was actually valuable because it was giving you the planned utility that we were going to release to everybody. So it let you taste what we were planning on developing and getting an idea for whether or not you actually wanted this. And I think it was extremely effective. If you look at our holder retention rate, I think it's like 75 or 76% of holders have held over 180 days plus, which is insane. Like that's crazy. That's a very, very high percentage and an extremely long hold time. The amount of people who have held for over 180 days is like massive, which is super bullish. And it proves that, we do have something here in this market that is worth value. And now we want to build some more stuff with it. And I'm super excited for what we are doing. I'm very excited to hear, what the future of NFT Nerds looks like. But I kind of wanted to ask you a question before we get too deep into this episode, which is a question I like asking all of my guests, which is, how do you explain NFTs to somebody who doesn't know what NFTs are?
I try not to enter these conversations. Usually people like approach me when they already know, and like when I have conversations outside of like the company and my family about NFTs, people already know what NFTs are. So I didn't have to do that for actually quite some time. I'm trying to remind myself. No, I would need to make something up on the spot. Sorry.
Yeah, it's kind of like a tough question, even though we're so ingrained in this culture and this community of Web3 and NFTs and building here. It's sometimes hard to explain that in an easy manner, even though we know intrinsically everything about them. It's sometimes hard to describe, and it's fine if you don't have something right now. We can come back to that later. I wanted to also ask a question that I love asking founders, which is, in the NFT space, where do you see the biggest opportunity for a company in the next 12 to 24 months?
So like, the question would be what's the value that you can capture, I assume. And I really think gaming is, because it's the barrier of entry is low. And I play a bit. I always loved Blizzard games. So I played StarCraft and Diablo. And you trade there, and it's terrible. And I really, in Diablo 2, I just wish I could have a dashboard like NFT Nerds. When I try to trade, it would be amazing. And the experience is terrible. So I think that's, I think that could be like really, because the market is huge and the barrier of entry is really low. Like, gamers are already familiar with all the mechanics of it. So yeah, like definitely just a game or a game that utilizes trading using NFTs.
Absolutely. Gaming's huge. And I typically ask this question in two parts, which is, where do you see the biggest opportunity in the first 12 to 24 months, or like the next 12 to 24 months rather? And then also the second part is, where do you see the biggest opportunity in 5 to 10 years? Because I feel like sometimes they can be different depending on, your, I guess, view and perspective of the world and different markets, but it could totally be gaming as well, because gaming's such a massive market. But if it's different, if anything immediately comes to mind, I'd love to hear that.
For me, it's hard to think that if gaming really isn't successful on like utilizing NFTs, that anything else will be, right? And then if you think about it that way, gaming is already much bigger than really anything we have right now. So it's already order of magnitude improvement, and trying to extrapolate like 2 orders of magnitude is kind of hard. I really hope there will be like other things than gaming. And
you make a good point there, though, which is, if gaming doesn't really, really take off and NFT and blockchain technology don't get integrated into gaming on a massive scale, it will be hard to, it will be harder to really grow the blockchain and NFT space from a technological perspective in terms of bringing on users and things like that. So interesting perspective.
I always hoped that, when I went, like you could really purchase a house or an apartment with a similar experience that you would purchase an NFT. So I really believe that, this is something that can start happening, maybe, in a smaller country or anything or something like that. I kind of lost that belief now, but
I think that a space that will have a really big impact on the advancement of that will be the ticketing industry. So I think the couple biggest industries that will start adopting these technologies primarily is gaming, ticketing, and then identification things. So house deeds, mortgages, loans, things like that, right? Just like you were mentioning, possibly even like government identification cards, social security stuff, birth certificate type things, all being NFTs or some form of blockchain technology use case there, are, in my opinion, the largest, sectors that I see NFT technology impacting over the next, 10 years, which to think out 10 years is insane because the NFT space moves so fast. It's crazy. I remember when we were just getting into NFTs, it was absolutely insane. Things were selling out in less than minutes. 45 seconds to a minute, that an entire collection would just be instantaneously sold out. And it was wild. And it was really cool and useful to see how NFT Nerds was able to adapt and upgrade your backend to support faster data aggregation. And it was impressive. How have you guys been able to stay at the top or stay competitive in an environment that is constantly caring about speed? Because we have that same, I wouldn't call it an issue, but competition between, everybody, right? Yeah. It's a matter of speed and aggregation. What's been the biggest way for you to stay on top of that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would like to, before I start answering, I would like to give a slightly different, a certain perspective. So I think when we started showing listings, so started really aggregating what's available to purchase and do it fast, but also accurately. So have the whole order book available. I think we were first to do that. So we kind of obviously had first mover advantage. But we also didn't know at the time what's going to work in 3 months and what's not going to work in 3 months time. So we did a lot of experimenting and things didn't work or didn't work out, weren't useful enough. I think we kind of boiled down to the really useful stuff. And then lots of other apps just did this, right? So they could, we already tested what worked. So they had the second mover advantage. And they know what's important to be, what was needed to be really, really fast. I don't think there's a secret sauce. We just tried to do engineering well, both had technical backgrounds and try to, when just approaching a problem, trying to solve it really well. We like doing that, and we're lucky enough to so our solutions worked and weathered the load. Even during really hyped means like Moonbird or other sites.
Very interesting. You guys have definitely done a great job overall. Especially, I think I missed your Genesis mint, and I wasn't involved in NFT Nerds or using the platform until I think, like August or maybe October of 21. So kind of when the NFT market was about to top out, which I'm glad I started using it in that time, because it allowed me, paired with, the hypernode on my MetaMask, we were
Sorry, did you
we
mean
were able to
2021 or 2022?
2021. Yeah. Yeah, 2021.
Okay.
NFT
So you're
bull
very
market.
OG. You're very OG.
Very OG.
Then as an NFT Nerds user.
Yes. Yeah. Just a paid one. Like I had not been introduced to you guys. Like my co-founder was just like, yo, check this out. It's dope. And he kind of explained it to me. I was like, oh, cool. All right. Purchase it. And I think whenever my 6-month subscription came due to resubscribe, I was like, I'm really impressed with what they're doing. And I think at that point, we may have reached out because from beginning to use NFT Nerds to the point of resubscription, I think we had developed the idea for Just Cubes and like what we were doing. And so we reached out, we got, a discount for our holders and our community. And it was cool. It was really, really, really awesome to see the product develop how it did. And successfully, I might add. You guys have done a great job. In my opinion, I still love it and I use it. I don't trade as much as I used to. I'm just a little bit busier than I used to be when I was just trading NFTs. But hey, it's been awesome. I see you guys recently started accepting looks for subscriptions. Yeah. Was that a temporary thing, or is that going to be
so far
developed in the future?
So far it was temporary, but yeah, it might be something that we just will do as a part of our offering.
Cool. Yeah, that's it's an interesting marketing play to be able to use the hype from, let's say Looks Rare when they launched, or Blur, for example, right? When they launched, you could put out a tweet like, hey, don't just swap your Blur for USDC. Come buy NFT Nerd subscription. You're going to buy it anyways. This was free money, and a way to capitalize on new token drops and hype and things like that. Interesting. What's been the most effective thing for you guys to grow? Has it been just this idea of, hey, we're just really going to focus on user experience here and just only look at this and really nail this? Or was there one large marketing thing that you guys did to gain a bunch of users, or what was it? What was the most effective?
So I think that on the marketing side, we at some point we really tried to partner with collections, as we did with you guys, and I think we just were first that started to do this on a slightly bigger scale, and also the edge that the product gave was really noticeable. So we had really good word of mouth. So the interplay of having a really strong edge that was easy to explain and really, I think, easy to capture for users, while also partnering with collections. It had this kind of snowball effect. So we had we partnered with Origins, then MDHQ, which are respectable and huge communities. And then it seemed like everyone wanted in. So yeah, we definitely a bit of luck there.
I don't know. Maybe luck in terms of getting connected with those large communities and working out deals, but I think you guys built something that is extremely valuable and delivered it to the market in a way that made sense for a lot of people. And I totally respect it. You guys did a great job, are doing a great job. What does the future of NFT Nerds look like?
I think it's very hard to tell. So we're actually working on another product right now that's basically alerting in a way that we'd want to have alerts done, and it more relies on on-chain data more. NFT Nerds relies heavily on open liquidity, and it's not a guarantee that this is the way things will be. So Blur right now doesn't share their liquidity. I think they're the first marketplace that does that. So they do aggregate bigger marketplaces, while also they have right now huge amount of liquidity, and this is probably their most valuable asset, and they're not opening it, so they don't have an API. We'd love for everyone to be able to access liquidity and have this pool of open liquidity for builders to use, but there's no guarantee that it's gonna be open again. And this affects what we can do at NFT Nerds a lot. So not even Blur itself, but just this notion that, we're used to having access to liquidity, but it may not be that way ever again, and may even get worse. Who knows?
Interesting. Very interesting. I had no idea that was a thing. That's a powerful move from Blur. Interesting one.
Yeah, they we're watching, and we're definitely amazed by the courage and some of the moves that they do. It's clear that they're extremely, extremely smart and vigilant.
Yes, I would agree. I would disagree with one thing that they're not very smart about, which is their UI. I think it's shit. Like, I cannot stand going on Blur and using it. I don't know what it is. I hate it. I hate everything about it. Maybe it's because I'm spoiled with NFT nerds and also just being so familiarized and used to OpenSea's, I guess, UI, which is all like OpenSea's terrible overall. But I think everybody just got so used to seeing OpenSea as, the main source that we go to, that when Blur came to market, I was like, oh, this is really like a terribly designed UI. But that's just in my opinion. Like, other people love it. Yeah. And so I might be the minority here, but they might build
a new app from scratch.
Totally. I'm very interested to see what they do in the market moving forward. Very, very excited to see how the market evolves, what new things transpire, how current companies like yourself and ours will adapt to the market, and what will change intrinsically from a value perspective for users, right? So I'm excited for the next 12 months. I really am. I think the overall macro of the world markets, stocks, everything is in a really not great place, and I don't think it's going to get better for quite a while. But I think it'll be a fun 12 months to just build new things and try and deliver as much value to our communities as we can, and adapt to the market and just see what transpires.
So one thought I had, I'll share it. Maybe it's worth sharing. So, one thing with us, but also with Blur, we're basically built for traders. And I think, it's great to have traders, but this shouldn't be the main topic ever. I always thought, okay, NFT Nerds is gonna be useful for traders, but the space isn't about traders. And it really didn't feel like it was when we were building it, and it just didn't feel that way. But it really does feel that way right now with Blur. I really hope it's gonna change, and it's not gonna be about traders, at least not for a long time.
Yeah, it's definitely, the market's definitely shifted, which I think it needed to. And we are where we are because the market needed this shift. And I think that no one centralized company will be able to, really change that perspective of the market. I think the market will just have to do what markets do and expand naturally and grow. I think this creator royalties thing is interesting to see transpire, and I don't have a huge opinion on it. As an NFT founder, yes, it's great to collect royalties, but for the most part, royalties don't bring in a ton of money unless you're doing insane amounts of volume, like insane amounts of volume. It doesn't bring in anything really worthwhile to the majority of NFT projects. I would say 98 to 99%. It doesn't bring in enough to make it actually worth fighting for. And so that's why I'm kind of just, hey, whatever happens. If we need to swap our contract and force royalties, maybe we'll do that. If not, maybe the market will evolve back to requiring royalties based on projects, choices.
So what would you think about an approach where you don't require, people can trade freely without royalties, but if someone makes a purchase without royalty, then they don't get any benefits of the NFT except for like actually owning it. So you kind of just track that.
Oh, that's interesting. So they wouldn't get the utility attached.
Yeah, because that you can control.
Oh.
So people can still speculate on the NFT. Like, if I'm a trader, I never intend to use it as whatever it provides. So you kind of eliminate this conflict of interest. Because you cannot pay royalties and then just don't use it. And if you do it that way, the problem is kind of solved. I think, at least if you're building honestly, then it's probably better for you if the actual user base is kind of more scarce and people do speculate on the value. I don't think, I think, zero royalties, it's, it kind of where market goes. If you think about trading tokens, like not NFTs, but tokens, there are no royalties. You just right. Trade on exchange.
Yep.
Yeah, but there are lots of other ways that you can kind of give people ability to pay you if they hold your NFT, or pay a bit if they want to utilize your platform. So I don't think it's defendable. I don't think royalties are defendable. But I think creators just have a way to defend themselves if they're actually if they do need income.
That's a very interesting outlook and perspective on it. I'm definitely going to bring this idea up with my founders later. That does solve it. Yeah, it does solve the problem.
I when I'm thinking about this, it seems so obvious to me that I just assume that there's something I'm not seeing. And, there's a reason that, well, obviously you can do that. So I was kind of hoping maybe you're gonna tell me what's the reason, but, maybe there isn't, and that's actually a valid solution. We'll see.
Yeah, that's very interesting. This is why I love doing this podcast. I get to pick the brains of extremely smart people and people who understand the market and different things. And that's really what I love about doing this podcast. And it brings value to the listeners, and it brings value to the guests with people listening about what they're doing and getting interested and potentially, becoming customers for NFT Nerds or whoever the guest I have on is. And I do like to try and be respectful of everybody's time. And so we're getting to that 40 something minute mark. I do kind of want to start wrapping things up. So one, is there anything that you would like to tell the listeners? I'll have all of your Twitter links, your Discord, and your website link in the description of the show notes, as well as the YouTube, just so you're aware. Other than that,
thanks for having me. And the message to the listeners: please stay tuned for the next episode of NFT Bros Podcast. It was really great talking with you.
Thank you. I like to close out all of my episodes with asking a question about you. So we've talked about NFTs, the markets, how you view them, how you view different problems in the market, what you guys are doing with NFT Nerds, but I haven't gotten to know who you are. And so I like to ask all my guests, can you share something with me and the audience about yourself? It could be a hobby, could be your favorite food, could be, you know, anything.
Yeah, sure. So I love cars. I play piano. I have two daughters, and it's extremely challenging to have kids. So just yeah, extremely challenging experience that I'm going through right now. Yeah, so
Well,
I guess that's the three things.
That's awesome. That is super cool. I've actually been having the discussion with some of my friends who are about to have kids or who have young kids about, you know, how rewarding of an experience it is. That's very cool that you love cars. I love cars as well. I go to the track all the time. I race motorcycles as well as cars, and I absolutely love cars. I want to get involved with some sort of like car or track or like car video game NFT sometime in the future. I haven't seen one that I was like, ooh, this is like really cool, or like, oh, like that would be dope to be a part of, but I'm keeping my pulse on the market because I want to be involved in something car related in this space. And I haven't seen anything that's really piqued my interest, but I guess I'll wrap the episode with a car question then. So for everybody who's not, or for everybody who is still here listening, who doesn't care about cars, you can leave now if you want. But what is your favorite car ever made?
It has to be 911, like the current. Yeah, it's
that's a hell of a choice.
Yeah, it's just the right balance.
They know how to build some amazing machines. And on that note, NFT Bros Podcast listeners, thank you for joining us for this episode. Like Serenity said, join us on the next episode. I am super excited for the guests we have on. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for listening. Drop us a review if you care. Let me know what you thought about the episode and share it with a friend. All right. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace.